It's a new year, and that means a slew of all new automobiles coming from the manufacturers across the globe. If you missed my previous video on the top Japanese cars coming for 2024, make sure to check that out. This video is going to be focusing on all the other automakers and my top 10 vehicles I'm most excited for coming down the hatch in 2024. So let's get into it. 2024 is already heating up. Mazda just announced the CX-70 reveal by the end of January, so make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss any of the reveals and hands-on driving impressions and reviews of upcoming vehicles like the Lexus GX, for example. But let's get into number 10 on the list. They're not really in any particular order, but let's get into the first vehicle, and this is the ID Buzz. I've been excited for this microbus return, fully electric, for a while. And as a family man, anything that has sliding doors, I should say, it's a dream come true for me. Now, this model's already existed in Europe on sale, either as a commercial vehicle or as the shortened wheelbase model, but we are only getting the longer wheelbase model here in North America. It sits on Volkswagen's MEB platform, like the ID4, as well as the Audi e-tron Q4. There will be two powertrains, 282 horsepower rear-wheel drive and 330 horsepower dual-motor all-wheel drive. Range, we're not 100% sure, but it should be over 250 miles, especially in the rear-wheel drive model. Seating for 7, right? It's 3 rows of seats. It's a minivan, and it should start around $40,000. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually starts more than that. Time will tell. We should start seeing this as available at your dealerships late 2024, so fall 2024. Cannot wait for the ID Buzz. There's a few things I want to chime in on with the design. I love the exterior and interior. It's funky, it's fresh. I love the old school 70s, 60s colors going on. I like the two-tone, but here's something I'm not super excited about, and it's victim to current Volkswagens because there are no climate control buttons, no knobs, no volume knob. Even the buttons on the steering wheel are touch capacitive. If you want to interact with the climate control, it's either touchscreen or touch capacitive sliders here. So that kills it a little bit for me, but maybe I'll test one and find that I can forgive it of those ergonomic shortcomings if it just has so much style and character in the rest of the package. Time will tell, but I got to drive one before I can condemn it due to the lack of functionality for me anyways. Next on the list is not this Genesis G90, nor is it the GV80. In fact, it could be a mix between the two of them. Genesis has a flagship G90 sedan, and the current flagship SUV is a GV80, but we've heard rumors for years now that a new flagship is coming in the form of an SUV as the GV90. Now, it's also a big question on what kind of powertrain the GV90 will have. Will it have the supercharged twin-turbo V6 with a little over 400 horsepower that we see in the G90? Or is it going to be fully electric? We know Genesis will be bringing out fully electric models as they come out with new models starting in 2025. So any new redesign in 2025 and beyond should be fully electric from my understanding, and they'll be fully electrified across the lineup by 2030. If it comes in 2024, which I'm expecting it does, could have the twin-turbo V6 from the G90, and it could have a fully electrified variant like we see on the G80 sedan, the G80 Electric, which the G80 Electric is my favorite EV that I've tested on the channel. So make sure to check out my review on that. And I just foam at the mouth over Genesis interiors. They are fantastic. If this is what it's like in a non-flagship, what is it going to be like on a flagship? I guess I could look at the G90 because the G90's interior is out of this world. It's just so good. Anyways, we got to keep moving. A potential competitor to the GV90 EV is the Lucid Gravity. I saw this revealed at the LA Auto Show with my naked eyes. This thing is massive. Unless you see a vehicle in person, it's hard to get the dimensions of it. This thing is it's like a minivan that's been stretched in the width. It's super wide. It feels, or at least it looks like it takes up the entire lane of the road. The Lucid Gravity is going to be insane. It starts around $80,000, but that could still net you over 400 miles of range, because if we look at the base Air Pure model of the sedan, the Lucid Air Pure, that has 400 miles of range. So it's hard to say what we're going to get for the $80,000 base model, but there's a possibility that this could be optioned to $150,000 to $200,000 as well. The technology in here is absolutely insane. The space in here is great. I believe it comes in a 2-row standard, 3-row optional. The amount of cavernous space in here is definitely lending itself to a minivan-like practicality just without the sliding doors. If this had sliding doors, forget about it. I would just be drooling over it. But man, this looks pretty cool. Now, like that Volkswagen ID Buzz I showed you, it doesn't look like we have a whole lot of physical controls in here. It's mostly touchscreen, but the screens in here do look really, really nice with this curved screen on top of the dash, and then this big tablet here to thumb through your different settings, as well as climate control and infotainment. It is massive. That's all I can say. It is a luxury showcase of EV technology, and I'm very excited for this incredibly fast and an incredibly efficient people hauler from Lucid. Let's get back to some conventional cars for a second. The BMW M5 is getting a redesign. It should come out in 2024, and there's a potential that we get the M5 wagon. Oh my gosh. If you guys missed my review on the S60 Polestar tuned, it's a plug-in hybrid Volvo wagon. That thing was like, I would be happy as long as it was reliable. I don't know if it is. I'd be happy to have that car for the rest of my life. It would fit my needs. It just looks amazing. So watch my review on that. But BMW could come out with their own insane high performance M5 wagon. If not, it'll just be the M5 sedan for the United States. But we're also expecting it to be a plug-in hybrid with that twin turbo V8. So 730 horsepower and over 730 pound-feet of torque, over 600 horsepower coming just from that V8 alone. And it's a similar powertrain that we see in the BMW X-M SUV. So since it's a plug-in hybrid, it's going to be heavy with the battery, the motors, etc. So it's going to need bigger brakes. We're also hearing rear wheel steering. And if the last generation did 0 to 60 in about 2.8 seconds, I would expect this to crack maybe 2.5 seconds, 0 to 60, of course, with standard all-wheel drive in the new BMW M5. Now, Tesla's not a brand that you get that excited for. They don't come out with new models that much. They just came out with a Cybertruck, right? And hopefully by the end of 2024, we will have more trim levels of the Cybertruck that are more affordable instead of the $100,000 Cyberbeast. But for the masses, we have the Model 3 and the Model Y. And what we see here is not the Model 3 we currently have, because this is the refreshed Highland model. I'm over at the Great Britain webpage here. And so we have updated styling, updated headlights, taillights, kind of lobster claws in the back, similar taillights to the Toyota Grand Highlander, actually. We have ambient lighting, better chargers for your phones now, better materials. We have screens on the back. And it's also slightly more efficient. In real-world usage, maybe we see the Model 3 long range get to 350 miles, and real-world usage of the Model Y long range get to 325 miles. And I expect the Model Y also to get a Highlander refresh as well, if they call it the Highlander refresh. Expect both of these to come to the United States by the end of this year, and that's going to help Tesla. You know, demand has kind of dropped off in 2023 a little bit, even though they just broke a annual sales record. BYD actually passed them in electric vehicle sales for Q4 2023. So a refresh Model 3 and a refresh Model Y is going to help them out in 2024. All right, we got an all-new AMG GT. It is a competitor to the 911 in a lot of ways. It's a much more high-performance Grand Touring coupe compared to like the Lexus LC 500. The AMG GT is getting bigger, wider, a longer wheelbase. It's getting 4 seats now instead of just 2 seats. It still will keep the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 with 469 horsepower on the GT55 trim. There's also the GT63 trim, which is going to get you a massive, 577 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Both of those made it to a 9-speed auto. All-wheel drive is standard, I believe. And GT63 could crack 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. Now, there have been spy shots of a plug-in hybrid AMG GT, which could get this thing to over 700 horsepower, and who knows how fast it would be at that point, but it's going to be heavier. And that's about it. AMG GT is going to be amazing. It looks great. It's bigger. It's better performance. And I can't wait to see it on the streets here in Naples, because they are everywhere. The AMG GT. It's just it's a eye candy piece on wheels. Absolutely. So I'm lumping these three models kind of all together, and it's kind of the Corvette family at this point. Chevy wants to expand the Corvette range beyond its coupe. They went mid-engine with this newest generation, and it's been a complete success for them. I see these on every corner of where I live with the convertible. Now you got the Z06, but if that's not enough for you, if the Stingray and the Z06 isn't enough, we got a lot coming down the hatch. You have the E-Ray, which is available by the end of 2023, but that's not what I'm talking about here, because they're going to build off the Z06 and the E-Ray. They're going to twin turbo V8 this 5.5 liter, and we could be seeing an uptick from 670 horsepower on the Z06 to potentially 800 horsepower in a ZR1, and the E-Ray could be taken to the next step as well. It's already the fastest 0 to 60 Corvette of all time, to my understanding, with 2.5 seconds. It's barely beating out the Z06 with the electrification that's going on here. But the Zora, this sounds like something from, if you're a Nintendo fan, if you play the Zelda games, the Zora plug-in hybrid could be cracking 1,000 horsepower. Again, twin turbo V8 plug-in hybrid, absolutely insane showcase of power technology. And it will kind of remind me, I just detailed for you guys on the channel the Lamborghini Revuelto. That name still is escaping me. It hasn't been ingrained into my, Gallardo or, Murcielago sort of jargon. The Revuelto is coming, and the E-Ray is here to smack it down, possibly with a Zora variant of it as well. ZR1 and Zora, can't wait to see what Chevy has up their sleeves. But it's not just that. I mentioned the Corvette family. There's going to be Corvette SUVs to fight against the Porsche Macan, which we'll talk about later in a little bit, Porsche Macan and the Porsche Cayenne. And so we could see two different Corvette crossovers. The interesting thing is why wouldn't they just name them as Cadillacs? Because in theory, it's going to be using the same Cadillac platform that we see in the CT4 V Blackwing, as well as the CT5V Blackwing. So twin turbo V6 as well as supercharged 6.2 liter V8 heading into a Corvette SUV. And with that sort of performance, not only Porsche, but you're talking about Lamborghini Urus at that point, as well as some other competitors. So Corvette going big with new models and cracking into new segments as an SUV as well. All right, we're done with Corvettes. Let's move on to the Porsche Macan EV. I just talked about it, so let's get into this model. I'm very excited for it. This thing is going to be a beast. If the Taycan was 1.0 EV for Porsche, this is definitely EV 2.0. It could have two different trims at launch, a standard and a high performance. Maybe they call the high performance model turbo. What I'm just going to call it turbo. 603 horsepower, 733 pound-feet of torque from its dual motor, all-wheel drive setup. And like the old e-trons, we could have AC chargers on both sides of the Macan for easy and convenient charging. Now, since it is an EV on a new platform, it is going to be a little bit bigger. So longer wheelbase. It has a 110-inch wheelbase now. It could get stretched to about 114-inch wheelbase, but that will allow it to stuff in a 100 kilowatt-hour battery with 12 different modules. And in theory, it's about 30% lighter, or should I say 30% higher energy density than what we see in the Taycan. So that's pretty exciting on this new PPE platform. Base model should start around $80,000, and turbo, to the limit at that point. But if the Polestar 3 comes in around $84,000 or so and tops around $90,000, I think that'll be a great competitor to the entry-level Macan. Man, I've talked about a ton of extremely expensive vehicles coming in 2024. And a lot of the more affordable models coming in 2024 are on the Japanese side of the camp. That's why none of them are on this list. I already made, like I said, I made a separate video, but here comes an affordable entry on vehicles coming in 2024 that I'm very excited for. And this is the all new Santa Fe. It is transformed from a snoozy grandma and grandpa crossover to a body-on-frame look-alike of a Defender. It'll have two powertrains, 277 horsepower, 2.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder mated to an 8-speed automatic. available in front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. And the hybrid variant should be all-wheel drive standard, made to a 6-speed, I believe it's a 6-speed dual clutch, as well as a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a single electric motor, around 230 horsepower or so, and that should get around 30 miles per gallon. The outside is insane, but the inside is impressive as well. They kind of have a Defender style steering wheel, but I love the materials. I love the contrast. I like this green and beige interior. It's almost like a green and white. It looks fantastic. Climate control knobs, volume and tuning knobs. We have the screens pointed towards the drivers, as well as just a couple wireless chargers, as well as tons of USB-C ports. So in terms of technology and functionality here and ergonomics, I'm in love with this Defender-esque Santa Fe. Like I said, comes with 3 rows of seats now, and it's just going to be more practical. You can flip up this storage cubby, or should I say the armrest storage, for the passengers in the back. I guess the door's open here. They're not driving. So like this kid needs to be in a car seat. Anyways, is this the inner dad coming out? But yeah, I mean, that's how I would feel in this new Santa Fe as well, relaxing, enjoying this vehicle and the places it can take you. So this is the last vehicle that I'm excited for coming in 2024. Which models are you most excited for in this video? And make sure, like I said, to check out the top 10 vehicles coming from the Japanese automakers in 2024, because they're every bit as exciting as the vehicles I mentioned in this video today. Make sure you subscribe. I appreciate you. If you have made it this far, hit the like button. I'd appreciate that as well. Have a great day. Have a great new year, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.